So one famous psychologist, developmental psychologist, was Jean Piaget. I hope I say that right. And he has probably the most prominent theory of cognitive development that's studied in this field. And why a psychologist? Well, motor development came out of psychology. Psychology is the study of the brain, and as you'll learn, if you haven't already, all of our movement is controlled by the brain. We're sending signals all the way from up here down to our muscles, so you can't really consider motor development without thinking about how it's impacted by the brain. So when he came up with his stages of development, just like we talked about previously when we looked at characteristics of stages or phases, they're going to follow a sequential order. So everybody's going to go through the stages in the same order, but they may not all reach the final stages. So there is, an elite performance means not everybody's going to get there. And they may go through at a different pace. So we have averages, and that's what we study, and we know that, by 1 year olds should have the ability to know that when mom leaves the room, she's not gone forever. But you may see some delay in some kids depending on the situation, so they may reach that milestone a little bit later, but they're still going to get to that milestone. So knowing that, so going in order, but we may not all reach the highest stages, and we may go at a different pace. So one of the main things that define the differences between the early phases and the later phases is the ability to adapt. And so when we think about adaptation and motor skills, it's knowing when to use a version of a skill. So if you're thinking about a pitcher, how do they decide when to throw a fastball, when to throw a curveball, whether they're going to intentionally throw a ball or strike, and their ability to adapt to that. So we're going to think about adaptation. It's just adjusting to the demands of the environment. And so, the pitcher is one example in a sports skill. And then adaptation has two different components. So either you're accommodating to adapt, which means that you're adjusting what you know based on new information, or you're assimilating, which means you're using something you learned in the past to decide what to do now. And so this is one example I see with my kid all the time, is she's almost 2, right? And so we have a dog called Ollie. And so she's learned Ollie is a dog, and his name is Ollie. So it's an animal with 4 legs. It's kind of furry. So now she sees a horse or a goat or anything that kind of has the same similar shape. Now it's a dog, right? And so now we've had to teach her, no, this isn't a dog, this is a horse, or this isn't a dog, this is a goat, this isn't a dog, this is a deer. And so when she sees a similar animal and calls it a dog, she's assimilating. She's using her knowledge of the past animal to decide what this new animal is, right? So that's assimilation. So once she figures out not all 4-legged animals are dogs, now she's differentiating and saying a dog is this and a horse is that. That's accommodating. So that's creating a new idea based on new information.